Yeah, look, I mean, it's a white knuckle moment, but we've had these before the last 3 years. It speaks to my view, you have more CapEx spending next 2 to 3 years than you've had the last decade combined. So when you look at the use cases, you look at the hyperscale build out, it's not a question of if, it's a question of this is actually now starting to play out in terms of the use cases on enterprise, second, third derivatives. And we believe we are still in the early days of the AI revolution. This is a 1996 moment, not a 1999, 2000 bubble moment. That's why you buy names.
Dan, it's Arjun here. Good to speak to you. It's true, that we can have rich valuations and there's a bubble, and it can also be true that this is a transformative technology as well. I just come off the back of a conference, and you mentioned enterprise there, which is key for demand here. I heard a mixed picture. I heard a mixed picture of enterprise wanting to use the technology. It's not as easy to implement. Is demand there from the enterprise going into 2026 in your view?
I mean, if you look, and obviously I heard those interviews, those are great. Look at Palantir, look at the growth that they're seeing on commercial. Look at the hyperscaler build out. Look what we're going to see from Godfather of AI, Jensen, Nvidia next week. When you start to piece it together, it's actually exploding in terms of the use cases on the enterprise. Now, look, are there some that will be skeptical? Yeah. But the reality is only 3% of US enterprises have even gone down the AI path. You look globally, it's actually 1-2% at best. So it speaks to our view, like this is just the start of trillions more being spent. Now, look, valuations, I'm not saying there can be froth on certain areas, private public market. But this I continue to view as table pounder opportunities to own the AI winners, despite many of the bears yelling fire in a crowded theater.
With Nvidia, Dan, just it's clear they're a cut above the rest at this point, but it's also clear competition is increasing both from AMD, but also from the hyperscalers developing their own chips. There's also a view that actually, what if models get more efficient? Do we need as much compute? Are any of those thoughts running through your head at this point as regards to Nvidia?
Look, I think competition, that's a good thing right down there. I mean, this is an arms race playing out, but right now it's NVIDIA's world. Everyone else is paying rent. There's no company, US or China, when you talk to them, that doesn't want the NVIDIA chips. And I think the reality is that they're years ahead. Mike, I could say they're probably 4 or 5 years ahead of where Huawei is. So when you actually see this all play out, demand to supply when we're in Asia, it's 10, 12, somewhere between 10 to 12 to 1 for demand to supply for NVIDIA chips. And I think that just speaks to our view is that, look, haters hate, right? I mean, the bears, they'll continue to come out of hibernation mode on days like today, white knuckle moments, and that's the way this plays out. But that creates the opportunity to own the AI winners.
Dan, love hearing from you, and thank you for joining us. We always appreciate it. Look, in terms of the disparities, or are there disparities between the valuations we're seeing in the private market, in the, dare I say it, the open AI world, and the public market that we're seeing on the listed companies? Is there a disparity in valuations?
Look, I think it's a great question. I think on some areas there's a disparity, but actually I think there's more of a hunger on the public markets for these companies to ultimately be on public market instead of being on private. When you think about Anthropic, XAI, OpenAI, look, I mean, in my view, if OpenAI goes public today, valuation is probably over $1 trillion, right? Just given where they play. Now, again, I get some of the worries about circular financing and ultimately some of the valuation concerns out there, but it's my view, like, this AI party, it started at 9 p.m., it's 10:30 p.m., party goes to 4 a.m. Now, in that, like, there's going to be nervous moments, but to me, you cannot be a bear watching the party through the windows on the outside.
Dan, I was going to ask you something completely different. I've got to follow up on your OpenAI $1 trillion valuation as well. Do you not have concerns, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, about the vast number of deals it's doing, which is it going to increase its spending commitments to well north of even your $1 trillion figure?
Look, I mean, and obviously there's concerns out there, and I've heard it from investors, but they're building out, I mean, OpenAI is really foundational. I mean, you say NVIDIA as well, to the future of this new economy. So they have to put sort of poles in the sand when it comes to AMD, Nvidia, Oracle, because that's really what they're built. They're building out the whole infrastructure. So I don't view it as a circular financing, very similar, some call it vendor financing, late 90s, it's a red flag. I view it as that when you look at the next 3, 5, 7 years, I think OpenAI, they are laying the groundwork for what's going to be probably a multi-trillion-dollar valuation down the road.